So, Cody Hodgson gets mentioned, and rightfully so. I am a Canucks fan. Cody Hodgson played a large role, at least he was supposed to, for quite a while, and then it didn't really turn out that way, did it? So let's look back. I'm looking back to an old hockey magazine from 09-10. Cody Hodgson, Major Junior Player of the Year, will be in the running for the Calder Trophy. They projected him for 52 points that year. He had none. He got returned to junior. Now, what happened with Cody here, and he's listed as 6 foot, which is generous, 185 pounds. Cody wasn't a very fast skater. Cody's issue to begin with was speed in the physical game, and there was always a question of can he deal with hockey at the NHL level? And I remember too, when he was drafted, there were some who felt that Kyle Beach would have been a better draft pick. I remember that. I remember people saying we need sandpaper, Kyle Beach. Kyle Beach played 0 games in the NHL. Cody Hodgson played almost 300. Now, when Cody finally came up, I'm going to look through the next book that I found just sitting around. This is 12-13 hockey. His first year in Vancouver, he played 8 games, 2 points, sent back to junior again. At this point, there were Canuck fans crying foul. Alain Vigneault's not giving him a chance. Mike Gillis is ruining his career. His back problems should have been diagnosed sooner. The Canucks medical staff is a joke. There were all kinds of things being leveled at the Canucks. But there were some rumblings that Gillis didn't like dealing with Cody. And they just stayed rumblings. The following season, which was 11-12, he actually had a pretty good season going for Vancouver. I remember a goal he scored against Boston. Very emotional game because Vancouver, had lost the season before to Boston. So beating Boston was important. Beating Boston was so important for Vancouver that they dedicated their whole roster to beating Boston, even though they were in another conference, and meant that they couldn't keep up with the Western Conference teams anymore. And that was when things started falling apart for the Vancouver Canucks. And Cody Hodgson was in the middle of that storm. Now, Alain Vigneault was playing Cody sheltered minutes. He was a third-line center. There were rumblings that Cody felt he should be a second-line center. Cody felt he should be out there ahead of Kessler. Now, I'm not a Kessler fan. You people all know that. But there was no way in hell Cody Hodgson deserved more ice time than Ryan Kessler. He didn't then. He didn't at any point in his career deserve more ice time than Ryan Kessler. And he didn't get it. Not in Vancouver. So he's traded to Buffalo. I remember when the trade to Buffalo occurred, I was actually at like a dental specialist's office in Abbotsford. And TSN was on, and I heard the Vancouver Canucks have traded Cody Hodgson. It was a last-minute deal. And that he was traded for Zach Kassian, and I'm like, wait, what? And I was upset. I was upset that Vancouver would trade Cody. I believed he was the future captain of the team. I believed that eventually his speed would catch up. Eventually he developed the physical strength to be a top 6 forward in the NHL. And his initial play in Buffalo was okay for the rest of that season, but Cody was clearly surprised by the move. The Canucks, the rumors always were that the Vancouver Canucks as a team were happy to be rid of him. Mike Gillis was happy to be rid of him. There was a lot of drama inside and outside the locker room, and again, this was all conjecture and rumor and hearsay, but it all seemed to add up that the Canucks weren't really wanting Cody around. So that's when Cody arrived in Buffalo. The following year, I'm going into the, nope, okay. Oh no, that's right, 13-14. Cody, during the lockout shortened season, played 48 games, had 34 points in Buffalo, and looked pretty good. Cody was arriving. Kassian, on the other hand, not so much. Here's Cody Hodgson's right up here. Finished second on the Sabres in goals and points. Getting stronger would help Hodgson handle a heavy workload, and also on faceoffs. He carries the expectations of a first-round pick and is primed to deliver. His faceoffs were atrocious. Part of the problem in Vancouver was there were rumors as well, and again, these are all rumors, that Vancouver wanted to develop Cody into a winger, and that Cody wasn't really interested in being a winger. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. For those who are, expecting to see some hockey here, Cody wasn't expected to be a winger. He was expected to be a center, and he was expected to be a center that could lead your team, who could be a premier forward in the NHL. And Buffalo seemed to give him ice time that Vancouver wouldn't. Now, what stands out with Hodgson here, his plus-minus wasn't bad. He looks like he's, developing at a relatively decent pace. So, in the short out lockout shortened. I need a good night's sleep soon, eventually, at some point. The lockout shortened season, 48 games, he looked good. But there were a lot of players who looked good in that shortened season that, over an 82-game season, had a hard time doing it. The entire Toronto Maple Leafs team, there's always been some conjecture on the part of other fans in Canada, would the Maple Leafs have made the playoffs in the season that was shortened if it had been a full 82 games? Would they have been able to do it? And there's a lot of debate, and we'll never know. Hodgson, the following year, played 72 games, 20 goals, 22 assists, 44 points. That's not bad, right? But he's a minus 26. Despite an ugly minus 26 rating with the Sabres, Hodgson enters 2014-15 with his stock on the rise. That's because he performed well above expectations for Team Canada at the 2014 IIHF World Championships. This is why you don't put a lot of stock in tournaments. Okay? That's just the truth. Don't put a lot of stock into tournaments. Which should give him confidence heading into this year. To help his defensive game, Hodgson may play more wing this year. I don't know why somebody would be calling my phone, because I'm not going to answer a call on it. Somebody's calling it. And it's gone. Maybe it's the same spam number that was trying to call my girlfriend when we were in the van. That'd be hilarious, actually. But yeah, so Hodgson goes from 34 points in 48 games to 44 points in 72 games, which says maybe he's not that great a player, but he was projected for 60 points next year, and everybody's like, he's going to do it. Cody's going to do it. It's going to happen. The following season, he scores 13 points, 6 goals. And I'll admit, I had a good laugh about it. I did. I had a pretty good laugh about Cody and his scoring troubles and his woes. And 13 points in 78 games is ugly. It is epic ugly. The Sabres bought him out of his contract. He signs in Nashville. I don't even know if he played a game in Nashville last year. I don't think he did. Let me look that up. It says going somewhere too. So, after that, after Nashville signed him, nope, last year he played 39 games for the Predators. He had 8 points. So he retires with 328 games played, 142 points. And the totals aren't horrible. And he retires, and I think, here's the thing. Cody could have gone to Europe, and he could have had another 5 or 10 years of playing hockey. Maybe he would have gone to the KHL. Maybe he could have thrived there. You never know. Guys who struggle in the NHL can thrive in the KHL and vice versa. But, and here's the trick. And I want to turn the volume off on the TV to bring this point across. And I'm watching the Islanders Rangers, by the way. Good game, Clutterbuck with 2 goals. If he shows that kind of form for the Islanders this year, they look good. It's not going to happen. Clutterbuck's a 15-20 goal guy at most. Cody retiring to teach kids to play hockey is good. But the one thing that was always said about Cody at a junior level was that he was mature. He was mature. He was captain material. He was going to be a captain. He was mature. I don't know that that ever showed at an NHL level. I don't know if it's a matter of he wasn't given the chance to lead, or if that was just thrust upon him as a character statement that maybe he could never live up to. But either way, I hold no ill will to Cody Hodgson. I'm not a Canuck fan that looks back and goes, oh, I wish we had drafted, because it wasn't a great draft that year anyways. It wasn't. I mean, there were good players drafted after Cody, certainly, but let's take a quick boo here. What do you mean I'm forbidden? I'm not forbidden. It's the draft. It's the draft. Tell me I'm forbidden to look at that. I'm forbidden to look at the draft. Draft home. Oh, I'm forbidden from looking at. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll have to look somewhere else then. Sorry, I'm just doing a little search here. Just before people come in and say, oh, well, we could have, they could have, look who they could have. No, let's just not do that. Okay. Hodgson was rated 9th coming into the draft in North American skaters. He was ahead of Colin Wilson and behind Zach Boychuk. Being drafted 10th, he was ahead of Kyle Beach, Tyler Myers, Colton Tubert, Zach Boychuk. Now, Erik Karlsson's the one that stands right at 15. Well, there's 14 teams that passed on Erik Karlsson, so and the players who were drafted ahead of him who are worthy of being considered ahead of him were Stamkos and Doughty, who were 1 and 2. After that, anybody drafted Filatov in 6th, Schenn in 5th. Imagine if the Toronto Maple Leafs had drafted Erik Karlsson instead of Luke Schenn. Just imagine. So anybody that wants to come into this video and say, oh, the Canucks screwed up, that they shouldn't have drafted, oh, there's Clutterbuck now. The Canucks shouldn't have drafted Hodgson, blah, blah, blah. At the time of the draft, it was not considered a horrible move. There were some who felt Tyler Myers would have been a better pick. Sure, Tyler Myers right now on that blue line would look good. He'd also look very expensive. And the Canucks would have had to get rid of somebody major to make that work with the cap. So, I mean, there's Del Zotto at 20. Chet Pickard was the first goalie to go at 18. Jordan Eberle went at 22. He has to be considered a steal because he was after Anton Gustafsson. Lucas Biza was 19. Jake Gardner was 17 for the Ducks, never played a game for the Ducks. Colborne was 16, and while Colborne's developed into a decent player, he's not a first-round top 16 draft pick. And Zach Boychuk, he got released from his tryout this week. So, Colton Tubert's over playing in Germany. So it was not a great draft. John Carlson was at 27, Tyler Ennis at 26, but ahead of them, Greg Nemish, Matthias Tedembi, Victor Tikhonov was drafted after them, Dalton Levier, and Tom McCallum was drafted at 30th by the Red Wings. So it's not a great draft. So in hindsight, the trade of Hodgson for Cashin was sort of meh, and both teams lost in that trade somehow, but only eventually. He had a couple of good seasons in Buffalo. I won't take anything away from him. I have no problem with him. I'm not celebrating that he's retired. I think the fact that he's retired to teach kids to play hockey is admirable. It's fantastic. He's 26. He's made a good living in hockey. He's made, I would estimate he's made about $10 million as a hockey player. So as long as he hasn't blown through that money, Evander Kane style, he's set for life. And while he never developed into the player that he was supposed to be when he was the number 10 draft pick, he still managed to have a career. He still managed to make the NHL. He earned a living. And I bear the guy no ill will. I think he's a pretty solid all-around guy. Sure, maybe he had an ego in the Canucks locker room. Maybe that's why they got rid of him. That was always the rumor. But either way, today a guy retires, And no, I'm not celebrating it because it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't really a great draft anyways. There's Justin Schultz, was drafted in the second round by the Ducks. He never played a game for them either. Man, what is it with the Ducks and defensemen that come out of college? And Jan Sauve, the second rounder for the Canucks that year. Man, that's quite the draft. Corey Trevino was drafted by the Islanders that year. There's Jake Allen in the second round, but Philip McRae drafted right before him by St. Louis. Luke Adam, he was released from his tryout contract this week. There's Jared Stahl, the brother of Jordan and Eric. There's Danny Cristo. He still hasn't made it to the NHL. Marco Scandella, who has. Patrice Cormier, who hasn't really. He sort of flirts with making the NHL, and then it just doesn't happen. So yeah. Anyways, that's my whole thoughts on Cody Hodgson. I'm sure other people have other thoughts on Cody Hodgson and feelings. But in general, you know, there was a lot of drama. I was upset when he was traded. But in retrospect, it worked out best for everybody, and I wish him nothing but the best from here on. It'll be interesting to see how he does as a teacher, because that's the kind of thing that, whatever we think of it now, 5-10 years down the road, who knows? You know, it's if you're good at it, you could be the Gary Roberts for teaching kids, that kind of thing. So, what are the odds of that? Who knows? Because we don't know how Hodgson is with kids. Might be much better at teaching kids than he is with what he was doing in the NHL. So, all the best to him, and I will talk to you all again soon. Oh, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.